Hello everyone and welcome to Beginner's Code, a place for you to learn with me as I dive deeper into the coding world. Before I start, this video is brought to you by SiteGround. If you're looking for a hosting service that is fast, reliable and has great customer service, please do check out the link in the description below. This is an affiliate link, so if you do end up being a SiteGround customer through my link, I will receive a little and this will be extremely beneficial for the channel. Or if you're wanting to learn more about Python, then make sure you check out my website, Instagram or GitHub for projects. The links for these will all be in the descriptions below, so please do check them out. Also, don't forget to subscribe to see more videos from me as I teach you through the basics. Today we will be creating a body mass index calculator in 3 different ways. The first will be using if statements and while loops, the second using functions, and finally the third using object-oriented programming. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be doing is we'll create a while loop and we will put the true boolean inside of the while loop. So this just means it will run or continue to run whilst the boolean is true. Next we will create a variable called start and we will assign it to user input that says, would you like to calculate your BMI, type quit to end. Now, we will use an if statement to see whether what the user's inputted, if it is equal to quit, then we will end the while loop. So if start is double equal to quit, so if you haven't seen these double equal to symbols, then I will leave a card above for comparison operators so that you can go and check them out and get a little bit more understanding of them. And if it is double equal to the word quit, then we will just break out of the while loop. And then we will use the else statement to put in the rest of the code that we will use to actually create the BMI calculator. So we will now create a variable called height, and we will assign it to user input, which has been cast to a float. So this will allow for a user to enter in decimal place numbers, and we will just put please enter your height in meters, and then we will do weight and we will do exactly the same, and we will put the input statement as please enter your weight in kilograms. Now we will create a new variable called result and we will assign that to the weight divided by heights to the power of 2. We don't need to put brackets around this because the order of calculations or the order of operators will automatically do the power sign before the division, but I am just adding it here for good measure just to make sure that it is going to work in that way. Next we will create a new variable and we will assign it to the round function, which will take in the results and the integer 2. And this will just round up whatever this calculation returns to 2 decimal places. Next, we will print your BMI is calculated at new, and we will just pass in whatever this variable holds. Now we will use an if statement to work out whether or not it is healthy or overweight or obese. So we will do if result is less than or equal to 18.5, we will print your results are underweight, and then we'll use the else if, so else if result is greater than 18.5 and result is less than or equal to 24.9. We will print your results are healthy, and then else if result is less than 25, greater than 25, sorry, and result is less than or equal to 29.9, we will print your results are overweight, and then else we will print your results are obese. So as you can probably see here, if the results are over 30, then it will print obese, and if it is under 18.5, it will print underweight. Anything else, it will be specified. So if I save this, cd into my desktop with my terminal, and then Python 3, BMI, and then would you like to calculate your BMI? Yes. Enter your height in meters, so 1.6. Enter your weight in kg. So I'll do 50 kilograms for now, and that comes back healthy. And then if I do it again, I'll use the same height, and I'll change this to 40 kilograms. So under 18.5 returns underweight. And then if I do 1.6 meters and 60 kilograms, we get 23.4, and then once more I'll do 1.6 and then 70 kilograms, and we get 27.34, and it's overweight. So now if I quit, it ends the program and we are able to carry on with the next one. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do this time is we want to grab the height and the weights. So what we'll do is create a function that's called height, and we will create a meters variable inside, and this will just ask the user to input their height in meters. So please enter your height in meters, and we will just return the variable meters. Now we will create the weight function, and this will hold a kilogram variable, which will do exactly the same, just asking the user to enter their weight in kilograms. And we will return kg. So note that both of these have been cast as a float, so they will be able to accept floats as well as normal integers. Now we want to create the actual logic that will do the calculations for what the user has entered. So we'll create a BMI function, and this is going to take in two variables, the height and the weight, or two parameters, shall I say, and these will be created within the while loop from these functions that we have just made. So first we'll create a variable called result, and we will assign it to weight divided by, and then in brackets again, height to the power of 2. Now we'll create a new variable again, and this will just round the result to two decimal places. And we will print your BMI is calculated at, and then we'll pass in the variable new that we've just created just there. Now we'll use the if statements again to work out the actual result of whether or not it's healthy or overweight, etc. So if result is less than 18.5, we will print your results are underweight. And then else if result is greater than 18.5 and result is less than or equal to, sorry, there was actually meant to be a less than or equal to sign there for the 18.5. So else if result is greater than 18.5 and result is less than or equal to 24.9, we will print your results are healthy. Else if result is greater than 25 and result is less than or equal to 29.9, we will print your results are overweight, and then else we will print your results are obese. So just like before, the logic hasn't actually changed, but the way we're actually going to be using the functions within the while loop has. So now we'll create a retry function, and we'll assign a variable called redo to user input of would you like to use the BMI calculator, type quit to end, and then we'll use an if statement to work out whether or not the user has typed in the word quit, So if redo is double equal to the string of quit, we will return false, and then else we will return true. So if the user hasn't typed in the string quit, then it will be true and it will continue running. So they could type in QUI or QUITT or QUUIT, and because they're not exactly the same as QUIT, then it will quit. Then it will return true and the while loop will carry on. So now we can create the while loop, and we will just pass in the function we've made just here. So while this is returning true, we will then create a meters variable, and we will pass in the height function that we made at the top. Then we'll create the kilogram variable and pass in the weight function. And then we will use the BMI function and pass in the two variables we've just created of meters and kg. And if I save this and head back to here, I'll clear that, cd into my desktop, and then Python 3 BMI version 2, yes, and then 1.6, 70 kilograms, overweight, yes. If I do 1.6 and then 80 kilograms, obese, yes, and then 1.6 and 40 kilograms, underweight. And if I type in quit, that is the end of the program. Okay, so the third and final way we'll be using object-oriented programming. So the first thing we'll do is create a class, and we will just call it BMI. And then we will create a method called __init __, and this will just be the initializing method or the constructor. And we will pass in three parameters of self, height, and then weight. And then we will give it some attributes. So we will use these parameters we've just passed in of height and weight. So self.height is equal to height, and then self.weight is equal to weight. So this will just allow us to use these attributes throughout the other methods within the BMI class. So we'll now create a calc method, which will take in the self parameter, and we will pass in result is equal to self.weight divided by, and then in brackets, self.height to the power of 2. And then we will pass in a new variable called new, and we will just round the result that we've just created to 2 decimal places. So whatever this returns will be passed into round, and then it will be round up to 2 decimal places and saved within this new variable. And we will just print your BMI is calculated at, and then we'll pass in the new variable. And now we'll use the if statements again. So if result is less than or equal to 18.5, we will print your results are underweight. Else if result is greater than 18.5 and result is less than or equal to 24.9, we will print your results are healthy. Else if result is greater than 25 and result is less than or equal to 29.9, we will print your results are overweight. And then else, we will print your results are obese. So now outside of this class that we've created, we are going to create a function that will just run the while loop. So just like before, while retry, and then we'll create a redo variable which will take in user input of would you like to use the BMI calculator, type quit to end. And then if redo is double equal to the string of quit, then we will return false, else we will return true. Now we will use the while loop, and we will just pass in this function we've just created, so while retry. Now we're going to ask the user for their height. So we will pass in a float and then user input saying, please enter your height in meters. And then we will do the same for the weight. So float and then user input, please enter your weight in kilograms. Now we're doing this inside of the while loop because if these two were here, for example, outside of the while loop, then we would be using the same. I'll actually show you. So if I put those back, and then now if I type in person is equal to the instantiated BMI class, and we pass in height and then weight, and then we can instantiate we can create a calculation variable and use the person object that we've just created to access this calculation method. So now, because we've got the height and the weight out here, if I save this and then cd into my desktop and then Python 3 BMI version 3, enter your height in meters 1.6, enter your weight in kilograms 50, and then because the height and the weight were outside of the while loop, they happened before this retry. So now I need to say yes, and then I can only use the same numbers. I can't actually change them. I can still use the quit, but if I come back to here and I move these back down into the while loop and then tab them over and I save it, and then if I just clear this, Python 3 BMI version 3, so we've got this at the start again. So would you like to use the BMI calculator? Yes. Enter your height in meters 1.6, enter your weight in kilograms 60 kilograms. Results are healthy. So now I can do it again, and I can enter different variables or enter different numbers for the inputs. So now 1.7 meters and then 60 kilograms, and that returns healthy. And then 1.9 meters and 60 kilograms, and that returns underweight. And I will just quit that, and that ends the program that we have just created. Hopefully moving those up didn't confuse you too much, and it made you realize that having it inside the while loop allows you to keep changing the user inputs as they might want to change things. It isn't always best to keep them outside, because if they are outside, then it will just be a strictly or two strictly used inputs from the user, whereas having them inside the while loop gives it a lot more flexibility. That's all for today's video. Hopefully this has helped you a little with understanding how different programs can be made using lots of different coding methods. If there is anything that you'd like me to cover further, please don't hesitate in reaching out to me by dropping a comment below on Instagram or through my website. Stay tuned, as in my next video I will be creating another program in 3 different ways. If you liked what we've been through today and you want to learn more, please drop a like and subscribe to my channel to keep up to date. Thank you, and see you next time.